Yes, good morning. As you can tell, back in my running stuff, you know what that means. It's time for another fitness fragrance review. And again, I'm doing a very, very popular fragrance today. I can't believe I haven't reviewed this one either. Bentley for Men Intense. Came out in 2013. Super popular one. It's been spoken about by the fragrance community on numerous occasions. It's essentially a boozy, sweet wood scent. You know, not one you'd probably wear for exercise, but we got to do it today because essentially, if you haven't seen these before, I'm going to do a morning workout. So I'm going to go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, all while reviewing this fragrance. And essentially, I'll give a score based on 5 categories. So it's price slash value for money, it's versatility, projection, compliment factor, and longevity. We do a couple of tests. So later on, when I get back from my run, spray my room, see how much it fills the room. And also longevity, we'll do a bit of a shower test as well and see how long it lasts after a few hours of working out and just washing essentially. So that's what we're going to do today. Before we start though, of course, I need to talk about this fragrance. What's in this fragrance? What are the notes? I said it's obviously a boozy fragrance, but there's actually quite a lot going on. It's quite a complicated note breakdown, so I'm going to tell you what I can detect. So I've got my old phone here. I'm just going to have a little read of what's in this fragrance. So the top notes for this one: black pepper, which adds a sharp, spicy kick and instant warmth. Bay leaf gives an herbal, slightly aromatic freshness, and bergamot brings a touch of citrus brightness to balance heaviness. To be honest with you, I don't detect a lot of that opening. Maybe the only thing I potentially get is that sort of spicy kick, but I think that's more coming from the heart of this fragrance. So yeah, not too much I'm getting from the notes or the top notes of Bentley for Men Intense. The heart though, rum, rich boozy sweetness. The rum for me is really prominent here. Super nice, super expensive smelling. Really like it, and it definitely does give you that boozy sweetness. The cinnamon, see, I think that's where the spice is coming from more than the black pepper, because it does have that heat about it. Definitely feels like a warming, cozy fragrance where you want to wear it in the winter, and black pepper can normally be a note you can wear all year essentially. It's a signature scent. Clary sage, herbal and slightly musky, adds sophistication. I'm not really getting this herbal green vibe which they're mentioning in these notes. African geranium, rosy green note for balance and lift. Again, not really, maybe a very, very slight hint of rose, but if you're just smelling the fragrance and you've never even looked at the note breakdown, I don't think you particularly pick that one up, to be honest with you. But the woody notes reinforce the masculine dry body of the scent. Woods are super important in this. You get a lot of woods in this, and the base notes kind of help complement the woods as well, because we got leather, smoky, dark, and masculine foundation. I don't think it's really a smoky fragrance, but you definitely do get a bit of that. You can tell there's leather in it. It does feel like you're basically getting into a Bentley. You know, you're sitting in this car seat, it's brand new Bentley. It's got that kind of smokiness, I guess, in the background. Benzoin, sweet resinous warmth. I think there's a lot of benzoin in this because it is super sweet. Don't think this is just a heavy, really masculine, peppery, spicy fragrance. There's a lot of sweetness with the booze in this. Incense, smoky and mysterious, adds depth and longevity. Definitely get a bit of that incense as well, which I think is complementing or adding to that sort of smokiness, that sort of feeling that you're in a Bentley car essentially. Cedarwood, clean, dry woodiness. Again, more woods, more woods. Patchouli, earthy, slightly sweet base that anchors everything. So again, I don't particularly notice the patchouli, not really strong. This is just, again, boozy, dry, sweet woods, and super expensive smelling. That's how I get it. And the vibe, they say, warm, boozy, spicy, leather woody, ideal for fall, winter, evening wear, and formal occasion. Yeah, this is a dress up scent. Not high vis running at sort of 6:45 in the morning, but we're going to do it anyway. So it's time to head out, start doing my run, and we'll do the first 2 categories. We'll do our price slash value for money and versatility. Let's get out there. Oh, it is super windy this morning, so I do apologise if you can't hear me. But we'll start with price slash value for money. So what you would have just seen is a couple of prices, sort of between £25 and £30. And to be honest, when I first bought this fragrance, it used to be a little bit cheaper than that. It used to be nearer 20. But again, with the odd deal, you can still get it for that. Now, if I was blindfolded and I didn't know this fragrance, how much would I say it's worth? I'd say 60, 80, maybe even a little bit more than that. So basically what I'm saying is this is a high quality fragrance, and people don't expect that with car fragrances, because let's be honest, you don't really look for car brands, you look for more beauty brands when you think of sprays. But I think they had high expectations for this one, because literally, if you look at the Master Perfume with this one, it's Natalie Norson, who's one of the most well known. So they clearly wanted this to be a bit of a statement scent, and it certainly does that. Look, there's a lot of notes in there. And I said earlier on, I don't detect a lot of them. And obviously we'll talk about versatility a bit later. But that boozy note is so realistic. You know, I've got a cheap Nasonato Brondiclo from Devane, and you can just tell how synthetic the whiskey note is in that. This rum note could easily match any in high-end fragrances. It is really good, really realistic, and it just smells so classy. And obviously all the woods in it, there's a real nice sweetness, the benzoin, you know, everything's blended so well. It doesn't burn your nose, it doesn't feel like all the notes are separate from each other, and I think it really symbolises someone who you think would drive a Bentley. A nice car, a well put together person who is expensive, and it's a very, very cheap price for this. So I think when we're talking about price value for money, we've got to give it a 10 out of 10. It is one of the best. It's known to be one of the best. And do you know what? I think even if it went up to say £40, I'd still give it a 10 because of the blend. Everything's well put together. As I said, it's just got everything. And to me, obviously we'll talk about performance later, but it's a pretty decent performer as well. It doesn't smell like, you know, it's cheaply put together, cheaply made. The only thing you might find with this, obviously we're talking a 100ml bottle, you may not want a 100ml bottle, you might want a bit more versatility, and you know, if you could get a bottle for say £12 for say 50ml, for some people they might rather try it, because again, £30, £25, whatever, if you're not sure if you'll like it, it can almost feel a bit of a waste of money. But I think this scent is so good, and it's so good value for money. It hasn't changed massively in price over the years. We can only give it a 10. Right, on to versatility. Back round on my loop. So versatility. How much can you dress this one up, dress this one down? Different ages, different occasions, different seasons. Well, first of all, we have to say it's Bentley for men intent. This is a men's fragrance, you know, and this is definitely not unisex, so we can't mark it down on that. This is exactly what it's marketed for. And I think for men, this is for men. This is a gentlemanly fragrance. This has got sophistication about it, which is great. You know, this for me is your full winter dress up scent, whether that's going for a job interview, whether you work in a high ranking job where you have to dress smartly, or even if you're just going for a night out. This is that fragrance where you could easily wear this with a suit, and I think it works really well. Do I think it's limited to that? No, I don't. I'm going to go back to the notes. Obviously, when we look at dress up scents, it's got the leather, it's got the incense, it's got the rum. You know, it's got those notes that you think of in gentlemanly, classy scents. But where I've said I couldn't detect things like bay leaf and clary sage and, you know, even the pepper, the black pepper, I wonder if that's almost tamed this fragrance, because you've got a lot of dry woods which, you know, you could use in, well, they're in a lot of scents, a lot of men's scents, a lot of versatile men's scents. I don't think this is really heavy. Look, the rum is heavy in it, but I think you could wear this as a signature scent most days, because I think the woods and the pepper and maybe these herbal notes I don't detect do actually tame it a little bit. Maybe just doesn't add to the smell, but it has more of a sort of taming effect. So yeah, I think it's absolutely fine. I don't think it's high heat summer or a warm day or anything like that. But look, if you wanted this to be a signature scent, my brother's worn this as a signature scent, I think it works absolutely fine as well. So I don't think it's really limited to that sort of grown-up bit, but I think 25 and up is when you're going to really appreciate it. Sorry, there was a big sort of lorry coming by, so I stopped. But I would say, yeah, so I said 25 and up. I think a younger person wouldn't really appreciate it because it doesn't have the vanilla and, you know, tonka bean, all those other things that you get in a lot of fragrances now, caramel. That being said, it has got a coziness about it, which is quite calming. You know, it's got cinnamon. Cinnamon's a very sort of nice, cosy note that's in a lot of gourmand fragrances, a lot of mainstream gourmand fragrances as well. You know, so it's not really, you know, benzoin, that's another one as well. I think Sticky Dates, which is one of my favourite fragrances from Lush, you know, that's a very sweet sort of sticky note that's so mass pleasing. So I think there is that element of where you can just wear it in a certain situation. I don't think woods are really heavy. Cedarwood, again, it's in a lot of notes. So look, it's not super versatile. As I've said, there's some limitations for it in that sense. But I think it's pretty good overall. And you know, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's marketed to be what the fragrance essentially is, a classy fragrance for a very good price. And you can wear it, but any fragrance you can wear in all situations, as long as you tone your sprays down in the right settings. So for that reason, 8 out of 10. As I said, I think a younger person may not really appreciate it. Someone who's maybe just getting into fragrances may not. And obviously you're going to wear it more in the cooler seasons. But apart from that, if you want a classy fragrance for a good price, this is great. And it's, like I said, it will do a lot of jobs. And I'd more than happily have it as my signature scent. Right, time to get home. Another sort of caramel green tea, I think, today. We are back home, so done about 13 miles again, so I'm pretty happy with that. Time to spray the fragrance in my room. We're going to talk about projection. So I'm going to do 10 sprays in my room. If you haven't seen this before, essentially I'm going to come upstairs in 10 minutes after I've had my salted caramel green tea and something to eat, and just see if the fragrance really fills the room, see how strong it is. Would anyone notice if they essentially were sitting in an office and they came in? So yeah, we'll judge it on that. But obviously while I have my drink, I'll talk about, did I notice the fragrance during my run? Obviously I sprayed it 10 times on my top before I left. Did it catch me during my run at any time? And yeah, how strong was it? So let's get downstairs, let's have this cup of tea, and we'll talk about projection. Honestly, I'm in love with these drinks. Can't get enough of them. Right, projection during my run. Did I smell Bentley for Men Intent much during my run? Yes. A lot more than I expected. So my run was kind of about hour and 50 minutes. And for the first hour and a half, I'm not exaggerating, I've lost count of how many times. I probably got a whiff of it at least 20 times. And what I really liked of this phrase, now obviously we're coming up to Christmas time. This really reminds me of Christmas, the smell of it, the nice rum. You can imagine sort of the family round and you're about to sort of have that Christmas pudding with all the booze over the top. That's what it just gives me that vibe of Christmas time. And I really liked it. Look, I said it's not a fitness fragrance, but it just gave me that bit of nostalgia, essentially, which I really enjoyed during my run there, essentially. But what also was really nice with this is sometimes I've had fragrances, Cacao Squared by Maison Tahite is a prime example of this, where you've got it on you and actually it's not very nice to wear because it literally is just there the whole time and it's almost like taking your oxygen away running. With this, it was almost whiffed 20 times or so where I just got that whiff of, oh, it's Bentley for Men Intense that's appeared again. And then by the time I thought that, it's gone. And then 5 minutes later, it comes back. That's what I love during a run. It just distracts your mind for that little bit of time, like that split second, distracts your mind so you're not feeling as tired. And I noticed it really well. And as I said, it's just a lovely fragrance. As I said, it's cold out there today. Also, I've got my hat on. And it worked really well. As I said, it's not a running fragrance, but if you know the fragrance, you like the smell, there's nothing wrong with spraying it on your top and distracting your mind from all the aches and pains. And really interested to know how it does on this. As I said, it's not a really heavy fragrance, this. See, there's the boozy notes, which are the prominent notes in this, but it is tamed down, I think, by those dry woods. So I don't know if it's going to really fill a room, but I expect it to do okay. So I'm going to finish this and then we'll head upstairs and we'll see what the projection score will be. Just heading up the stairs. My legs are a little bit stiff from that run this morning. So can I smell the fragrance from the top of the stairs? A tiny bit. Yes, I can, a tiny bit. But it's important to go to the room. How much has it filled a room? If I was coming in as a man or a woman, working with someone, would I notice their spray as I walk in? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. And what's great is, again, it's not really overpowering, but what you're getting is that rum, the cinnamon, that slight smokiness maybe from the leather and the incense, and that sweetness from the benzoin and the woods. It's delicious to me. I absolutely love that scent. I don't think it's cloying. What I really like is it's strong enough without being cloying, and it's amazing. To me, that fills the room just about the right amount. It's not as strong as some I've had before, but you'd almost choke people out and offend people with that. I think if you had this in the office, people are going to smell you for 2-3 hours and they're going to say nice things in general, to be honest. So yeah, that's nice. That is really, really nice. Classy, sophisticated. If you're dressed up and you're in that sort of office job, I just can't see how people won't like it. It's definitely more grown up though. Again, if a younger person was wearing, say you had a PE lesson or something, I think some people think you smell a little bit odd with this one because it hasn't got that sort of youthful, juvenile sweetness about it. But as a grown-up scent, filling a room, projection is absolutely on point with this. And maybe, as I said, maybe the sort of bay leaf and all those other notes have just tamed that boozy top note down, but it's still that dominant boozy cinnamon sweetness that you're getting. And I love it. I love it. Signature scent and projection is perfect for me. I've had stronger ones, but this is perfect. Again, I keep going back to it. If this was a little bit too stronger, I think people would say it's too much, and you might almost get people thinking that you've been drinking. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9.5. It's brilliant. I've just had a couple that are slightly stronger, and that's the only reason I can mark it down 0.5. But for what it should be and what it is, again, it's spot on. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly spray my arms, then we'll head to the gym. We'll talk about compliment factor. Just go on 9:15. So what we'll do, it'll be about 2 hours 45 minutes until I smell my arms again. Essentially, I'll walk to the gym, do my workout, have a shower, and we'll just see if I can still smell it after that time. I'm going to go into quite a little bit of detail about this one. What's my experience with this compliments? Well, I've had a couple. I remember, and they've both been in school environments, by the way. I remember I was doing a one-to-one session, a physio session with one of the children. His sort of teaching assistant said, "Oh, Mr. Ellis smells very nice again today." And yeah, it was Bentley from Intense. She did used to like a lot of my phrases though. Down to Pour Water Intense as well, she really likes. A complete contrast. And yeah, the school caretaker, I mentioned this story before. He asked me, what's that you're wearing? And I said it was called Bentley for Men Intense. It's only about £20. He said, that's really good, because I'm not sure what my wife wants to get me something for my birthday. I don't know what I want. And I really like the smell of that. And this was about 3 or 4 hours after I'd applied it. And he said he sort of mentioned to her, and yeah, she bought him the fragrance, Bentley for Men Intense, for his birthday. So someone has bought the fragrance based on the fact that they can smell it on me. So that's pretty good in terms of compliments, isn't it? But what I'm going to say is, obviously, this is not like a sort of generic compliment factor phrase, because we normally talk about, obviously, your Dior Sauvages, the ones that you can wear in all situations. And let's be honest, you're going to have a greater sample of people then that are going to smell it, because you can wear it to the gym, dress it up, dress it down, all those things. And that's why they're super good for compliments, and the reason why everyone buys them. This one, I think, though, is a compliment getting fragrance. As long as you wear it in the right situation, you will get amazing compliments with this. Look, I'm wearing a high-vis hat and a very tatty coat, to be honest. And yeah, look, is it really suitable for that? Not really. So do I expect a load of compliments with it in that sort of situation today, even wearing it at the gym? Probably not. If I was in an office environment, again, like I was in the school, where I was wearing like a smart casual shirt, indoors, as long as you're aware essentially of where you can get this compliments, where you use this best, use it in the right situation. Just be aware of the situation you think it'll be best. So again, indoors, dress up, not an exercise high-vis coat or the fragrance. You'll get a lot of good comments, and you may even get someone buy it, as we've seen. I just don't think it's going to be one of them though. If you expect to wear it all the time in certain situations, high heat summer, just be aware this may not get the best compliments. It's not that sort of mass pleasing all-rounder that you get normally, these, let's say, compliment getting scents. So for that reason, I think that it's got to get a good score. It's not meant to be an all-rounder, it's meant to be very much for those formal night out occasions. So you're going to get potentially a really good compliment for this if you use it properly. For that reason, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's not got the same versatility maybe to get all those compliments you may really want, but if you get the right one, people are going to remember you for it. And yeah, as I said, a lot of people in the mainstream don't really know this one. This is kind of one that the fragrance world know really well, but actually most people don't in general. But of course, if I get it at the gym, I'll give it a 10. Okay, so workout done, no compliments. I didn't really expect any, but the fragrance is 100% still there. Just getting that really nice boozy spiciness. That spiciness is really coming through. Maybe that is the black pepper, maybe it's the cinnamon, I'm not sure, but it's nice. It's very pleasant, but it doesn't feel right for the gym at all. I must admit, it definitely doesn't feel right when I'm walking on the treadmill and I'm doing this. I'm like, yeah, it's not what you expect, is it? It's just not something we're culturally used to, is having that boozy smell while wearing casual clothes. But obviously, most importantly now, it's time to do the shower test. So we'll see if I can still smell the fragrance after I've had my shower, and we'll give a score on longevity. Here we go. Basically midday, a couple of minutes before midday. It's time to smell my arms now I've had a shower. Apologies, it is very windy, so I'm hoping you'll be able to hear me. I'll try and do this as quickly as I can. Right, now I've been saying obviously all along, I don't think this is as heavy as some other fragrances that I've certainly done reviews on in the past. But wow, this has really stuck on my skin. I'm probably going to say that's about 90%, if not to be honest, 100% as strong as it was when I left. If anything, it smells stronger than when I came out or when I was in the shower. That's really strong. It's not particularly changed. It's still that booziness that's really coming through here, and it's just so sick. It just smells like real high quality. Nothing too synthetic, you know, or cheap or anything at all. It just smells really classy. I'm not going to need to reapply that anyway, even after all this sort of workout stuff today. And you're not going to need to reapply this at all. That is high quality, and that's really stuck on my skin. I'm just going to say it now. It's got to be a 10 out of 10 because it's barely changed. It's barely changed. If you apply that in the morning, that's going to get you through the whole day. And if you like that scent, wow, it's not going to leave you. It's going to really creep up on you. And I think what I like about it, because it's got the resinoids and the, you know, the benzoin resinoid and, you know, the sweetness from the cinnamon and all those other things, people will want to get close to you with this one. As I said, it's a little bit heavier, of course, I know, but it has got that coziness and sweetness about it. It's definitely going to draw people in, even if it does wear off a little bit through the day. But I think 5-6 o'clock, even when you get in a shower in the evening after work, you're going to still notice that. That is a top scent and it deserves a 10 out of 10. Right, what I'm going to do then, head back, we're going to count up all the scores, and yeah, I'll give my overall thoughts. We are back. I'm absolutely done in today, but that's probably no wonder because it's just gone 1 o'clock and I've done 38,200 steps, all while wearing this fragrance here, Bentley for Men Intense. A fragrance we all know very, very well, let's be honest. So how's it done? In its scores? It's got 46.5 out of 50. I think that might be the highest score I've ever given on this sort of fitness fragrance reviews I've done. And for good reason, but I know this is a fragrance that's very well known within the fragrance community. And some people won't like that. You know, I completely understand that when a fragrance becomes a little bit mainstream, a little bit more well known, some people don't want that. They want to be known a little bit more unique, a bit more discreet. And people will recognise this scent, but I know from my experience personally, when I've had compliments, a lot of people don't know this fragrance as well. Those who aren't maybe so into fragrances, just the fragrance world knows it a bit more. But at the end of the day, I don't really care if many people like it. It's the same with Dior Sauvage. Loads of people like it. It's doing something right. For me, this is doing everything right. This smells a lot more expensive than £20. You know, there's a lot going on. We've obviously spoken about the notes a lot today. You know, you've got leather, incense, benzoin. There's this gentlemanly vibe about it, a classiness, and again, you dress this one up, you know, then it's perfect for that suit, tie, formal occasions, date night, whatever you want. This smells grown up, sophisticated, and I just can't believe it's still that cheap, to be honest. I know it's going up a tiny bit in price, but it's brilliant, and it certainly deserves that score. The only reason it's been sort of marked down a little bit today is I think for a younger person, you know, hasn't got those sweet sort of caramel, vanilla, juvenile notes. This is a step up, and it's a step up in quality that, you know, I don't think for a younger person, even myself when I was, you know, first getting into fragrances, maybe appreciate. But now I'm getting a little bit older. Obviously, the weather's changed. It reminds me of that Christmas time, the holiday season, and yeah, it's just cozy. It's lovely and warm, and I'm going to wear it for the rest of the day. Again, I'm not really wearing stuff that's overly suitable for it, but that I think ultimately we say this a lot. I've obviously given the lowest score today, 8 out of 10, which was the versatility round. Yes, it's not really suited to this, but a good fragrance is a good fragrance, and I can't get enough of it. That being said, normally when I get to the end of these bottles, I don't really want it again straight away because it is one of those scents that is so heavy in terms of, you know, bougie fragrances. You know, it's not light and refreshing in that sense, but it's great. It is a super fragrance, and I've not often had fragrances 4 or 5 times. Sure this is the fourth time I've had it, and it certainly won't be the last, that's for sure. But yeah, Bentley for Men Intense, if you've not tried it, please try it, because if you love boozy scents, for me this is the best pound for pound fragrance on the market at the moment. So yeah, Bentley for Men Intense, you've done very well today, and I smell good. But thank you very much for watching. Plenty more to do. I'm planning to do, I believe my next review will be on, if I can find it here, I think we need to go back to Lush. I don't think I've done one for Lush Sakura, so I want to do this one because I've had compliments on this, which we'll talk about in the rounds. And yeah, it's not very much like the Aqua de Parma Sakura, so yeah, we'll do a review on that one soon, and hopefully you'll join me for that. So yeah, I'll catch you later.